So on this feast day that we celebrate today of All Souls, the options for the readings are basically those that are options for funerals. And in case you're wondering, it's like, oh, I think I've heard that at a funeral before. It's meant to be words of encouragement so that we don't get discouraged at the losses that we experience in this life. We are here because we believe that all the ties of friendship and affection which knit us as one throughout our lives do not unravel with death. I didn't make that up myself. That comes from the wake service of the Catholic service for funerals. It's one of the most beautiful lines, I think, that the church has composed. We believe that all the ties of friendship and affection which knit us together as one throughout our lives, they don't unravel with death. We're still connected. And the closest place for us, I believe, to be with those who have gone before us is during the Mass. We say that the celebration of Mass, another word for it, we call it the wedding of heaven and earth. And so this is where the veil is the thinnest between ourselves here on earth and those who have gone before us. We remind ourselves that we're here to pray for those who are on their journey. Those of you that know that I spent all of those years on the Indian reservations, the Winnebago and the Omaha people both, they see it as a four-day journey. And on the other side, when we pass over, 1 year for us is 1 day for the person on the other side. And so there's a memorial celebrated here for the loved ones each year around the anniversary of the person's death. And so they have 4 memorials signifying each of those days of the journey that the person is on. This gospel passage that we just heard is one that we also celebrate. It's offered at the time of the anointing of the sick. And so I've used this in hospital rooms when I'm celebrating that anointing with people many times over. Because I just believe that is such a powerful image for us. And as a person coming from the farm, I kind of like the farming image of the yoke also. That yoke, when I was growing up, I used to think about, I'm not that old, that I farmed with oxen, teams of oxen, or even teams of horses for that matter, but my dad did. And he would strap together these beasts of burden. He would yoke them together. And I used to think about, what a hardship that was for them. And I used to think about those horses that got to just be saddled and just rode free. They had a much better life. But when I found out that like a team of oxen or a team of horses, they could do over twice as much as they could by themselves when they were yoked up. The horsepower created was more than just adding another horse, but it was much more than that they could do together. And so when Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon your shoulders," he's giving us a powerful image. I oftentimes, well, not that often, but sometimes with when I've used this reading during funerals, and it's got to be the right time and the right people. You got to know your audience. But I've done it before where I've called up a couple of family members, and one time in particular, I think of a family in Walt Hill. I was doing the grandmother's funeral, and I had two of the Maudlin boys come up and be props for the image of yoking together, because a couple of them were bodybuilders. They were just massive, massive hunks of humanity. And so I had the bigger of the two come up, and I said, put your arm straight out like this. And I said, okay, now I want you to, don't let me push it down to your side. Okay? I said, you ready? And then I would push it down. You don't have that much, no matter how big your shoulders are, you can't do that, right? So I was able to push it down. And then I asked his brother to come up and stand next to him. I can't do that tonight, of course. That would be not social distance, right? So you got to use your imagination for this one. But I would have them put their hands on each other's shoulders. And then I could hang from their arms. When we follow what Jesus says, when we yoke up together, we can do so much more. The evil one is the one that wants to divide us. He's the one that wants us to feel all alone. And even when we're not physically present and when we have to social distance from one another, Jesus says, take my yoke upon your shoulders. He's letting us know that he's not far off in the clouds, distant somewhere, but he's within arm's reach. And so when this pandemic starts to get really old, my hair gets really long, be not discouraged. Have faith. Continue to yoke up with Jesus. Continue to recognize that we are called to do this together. We're never alone, even when we're isolated and have to be. I've got a dear friend who is isolated in the hospital right now. My best friend from college, his oldest brother, is in very serious condition in Jefferson City, Missouri. His medical team has said many people don't make it back from this point. So to prepare him because of COVID. We all know people now, right? Remember back in March when some of us didn't know anybody yet that had had it? But now we all do, don't we? And so we've all been touched. We've all been affected by this. But we can stand strong. We can continue to yoke up with Jesus. We can continue, even 6 feet apart, we can yoke up with one another and let people know we're not alone. We come together tonight to be fed once more from the body of Jesus, to remind us that he isn't far off in distance from us, but he is right here, wanting to carry the burden with us.